I, 37 female, have a daughter, Mia, teen. Mia's very forgetful and irresponsible when it comes to school. She's barely on time and late to school most days, even though we live a 10-minute walk away. She will do homework at the last minute and often ask for extensions with work. She tends to remind me to pay for school-related things like lunch money just before I go to bed, or that she needs to take something to school so we can run to the store and quickly get it. Last month, I went on a wild goose chase to help Mia locate ingredients for her home econ class after telling me she needed XYZ ingredients at 10:30. She just checked the fridge, and we didn't have them. She was reading the ingredients off an email, and when I saw it was dated a week prior, I got annoyed. Mia couldn't have told me before when we did this big food shop for the family. I told her the next time she needs something for school, she should tell me the day she gets it, or the day after at the latest, or I will not help her out. My husband has stopped helping Mia with her last-minute request and calls me a pushover for helping her out. But when asked today to put down the deposit for a school trip, I put my foot down. Mia's known since the start of the school year she had a school trip to Germany. Her school sent out an email 2 months ago asking for deposits for kids to secure their place on the trip. It's about $150, and Mia asked me today to pay as the deadline is midnight, or she may be unable to go. I reminded her what I said last time about deadlines and organization, and as she chose to tell me last minute, I will not be paying for her deposit. She got upset, as all her friends from history class are going. I told Mia that she could pay herself from her savings, as she has a part-time job, which is more than enough to cover her deposit, but she wanted to save up to buy a new game console. I told her to pick if she wanted to go on the trip or to get a new game console, and she called me an idiot. Now I'm wondering if I'm being unreasonable. My husband is on my side, but my youngest said it was mean, and Mia's very upset with me. Edit. Mia has been tested for ADHD and doesn't have it. I did my research at the time and realized it often gets overlooked for girls. But even after getting another opinion, she doesn't have ADHD. She gets help from a school advisor regarding her dyslexia, and at home we've discussed strategies to help her stay on track with her responsibilities. But she will ask for extensions on top of her extensions, which is a sore spot for her and my husband, who wants her to be more organized and not leave work at the last minute. Not the idiot. If she didn't have enough money of her own, I would probably cave, but she wants you to spend your money instead, knowing full well that she blew it again. Stick to your guns. She needs to pay for her mistake, literally. She can remember her obligations if she can remember what game console she's saving for. If she has a cell phone, why isn't she setting her alarms and entering reminders on her phone's calendar? She's 15 years old, FFS. Stop babying her. You're not doing her any favors. How's she supposed to learn and eventually move out independently if you always enable her? Yeah, I was tossing up whether this was a time to lay down the law, but the fact that she has the money to go, it's just that she doesn't get a game console and go on a trip. A perfect way and time to teach her that her actions have consequences. If you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice. Yeah, the ripe old teenage years are the perfect time to be taught this life lesson. As long as you stop enabling your daughter, she'll get the point. She might think you're an idiot now, but she'll realize later what you were trying to do. Landlords won't always give an extension to pay rent. The boss won't be willing to give more time to finish a project. People aren't going to want to be your friend if you're a last-minute flake with all the excuses. These are some cheesy examples, but your daughter will live, OP. I disagree. You are the idiot. People think dyslexia is just about spelling or reading and writing, but it actually has a far greater impact, including on things like being able to remember instructions and lists, organization, etc. Many people with dyslexia can struggle to get things done in a time frame that's acceptable to others because they can't figure out how to start a task. It's like a blind spot where they can't see what to do first. OP needs to work with her kid on how she should do things, not punish how she's currently doing them. I love camping and hiking on the weekends. My wife always hated it and hardly went. One of my children doesn't like it either, but to my happiness, my other children, Emma, 25 female, and Mike, 28 male, love it, and we do it several times a year. Mike has been with Jenny, 26 female, for 1 year-ish, and she has some mobility difficulties. She can walk, but not long distances. She's a kind and good girl. We have a great relationship, and because of that, my wife and I invited her to go to the beach with the rest of the family. I wanted to go to this beach because of a nearby trail that led to a wonderful beach, and on the second day of the trip, 7 days, I announced that I would make this trail, and Emma agreed to go along. Her boyfriend did too, and I invited Mike to go. Later that day, he pulled me aside and asked if we could actually go to another beach, accessible by car, so Jenny could go too. I said I didn't want to, because I wanted to do the trail and see this beach, but that we could go do that on another day. But the next day would be this trail. Mike said that Jenny was feeling left out of not being able to participate, as my daughter was also taking her boyfriend, and she would be left out due to her physical limitations. I pointed out that 4 people besides her weren't going on this hike either, and I'm not refusing to do that, but that tomorrow I had other plans. He said that I should understand her situation and not force a situation in which she's clearly being excluded by physical limitations, and that if that were the case, he wouldn't go either. I agreed and said okay. The next day, by a miracle, my other son wanted to go, and the 4 of us went on this trail. My son barely talked to me properly the whole trip, Jenny too, and when I suggested we go to another beach by car, he said I had some nerve to suggest that after all. My wife and the rest of the family have decided to stay out of this, but I'm at a loss. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your son and his girlfriend can spend some time together. It's not a big deal. This is 1 day on your trip. It's not like you've designed the entire trip to exclude her. This is going to be life for your son and his girlfriend. People are going to want to do things she's not capable of doing. Them having to spend the day together isn't the big deal. I disagree. OP, you are the idiot. You're the one who invited her on the trip, then spent a whole day doing something she couldn't join in on, also without discussing it before the trip. You said no to him because you wanted to hike, but I kind of feel like a family trip should be about what everyone wants to do. Unless I'm misunderstanding, you could have driven everyone to that beach, then went off for the hike with whoever you wanted to join. That way she gets to see the beach, and you get your walk with whoever chooses to join. Your son was trying to include his girlfriend, and you just flat out said no. It is a 7-day trip. Do they have to do everything together all week? She wasn't able to join in on one thing that about half of them were doing. The entire trip doesn't need to revolve around one person. She was not excluded at all. There were other people staying back as well, not only Jenny. In all reality, they both sound like kids throwing tantrums because they didn't get their way. I, 36 female, usually have time to drive my daughter to the bus stop every morning before work. Last week, where we were, it was negative 11 degrees wind chill. A kid, tween to young teen, middle school aged, comes down to the bus stop as well. I do not know him or his parents. This is relevant to the story. On Friday, when it was negative 11, he came out in a thin pullover. I felt like I couldn't ethically allow this kid to stand out in such cold weather when I had a warm car he could sit in. He took my offer and sat in my back seat while my daughter and I spoke. He kept his AirPods in and said nothing but thank you. Buses were running around 15 minutes late as well, so nobody really should have been out in that. However, yesterday while I was walking my dog, a woman came up to me. She asked me why I took her son into my car. I explained that the weather was well into the negatives. He wasn't wearing a coat, and the bus was late. She told me never to do that again, that what I did was incredibly creepy, and to leave her son alone. I was taken aback. I just offered the kid a warm place to sit and didn't even speak to him. I feel bad because, of course, I never want to come across as creepy or overstepping boundaries. But I also feel like if the roles were reversed and I was unable to take my daughter to the bus stop and this mom offered her a place to sit, I would be thankful. I feel bad for doing something I thought was nice. Is it weird? Am I the idiot? Speaking as a former child who got frostbite on both hands at the age of 10, thank you for caring about someone else's child. You are not the idiot. The mother's concern is valid, but she was also the parent who sent or allowed her child to go to a bus stop in weather that could have seriously harmed him. Instead of thanking you for protecting her child from harm, or even asking why you had her child in your car, she's attacking you? To me, it appears she's deflecting blame and trying to make you out to be the villain, so the conversation is diverted from why she allowed her child to be at risk. You did the right thing, but if it happens again, call the school to report the child neglect, and then the cops can come to pick up the kid. If the boy and her daughter get on the same bus every day, the odds are that the boy knew the mom and daughter by sight, so they recognized that they weren't a danger. This was more about control. My husband wasn't allowed to ride with others until he was an adult. He walked to school in the snow and didn't tell his parents if a friend picked him up away from his home. His parents probably would have been upset about the OP's offer as well. It's also possible the mom in the post can't afford more and is reacting like that because she feels ashamed. Pride gets in our way sometimes. When I, 18 female, was 5, my mom died. My mom always wore this necklace that she got as a teenager. It was unique and special and meant so much to her, and she gave it to me to wear before she died. She told me that if I ever wanted something physical to think of her by, I could have that, and she knew that it would work because she always wore it, and I treasured that necklace. When I was 7, my dad got remarried, and he and his wife had a daughter. Within a few months, my half-sister was born. I was 8. One day when she was 6, she asked me if she could wear the necklace, and I said no. She got upset. My dad and his wife were upset with me for being unwilling to share it, so my dad forced me to take it off, and he gave it to my half-sister. He said that from that day on, it was hers because she deserved it, and I had acted immaturely and cruelly by refusing to let her even touch the necklace. My dad and I got into a big fight about it, and his wife inserted herself into the whole thing by saying I loved the necklace more than I loved my half-sister. It was less than a week later when everything shut down, and for months after, things were tense. And I was angry, like beyond angry, because my half-sister kept this necklace, and I was seething. She refused to give it back to me, and Dad would yell when I would try demanding it back when asking failed. 2 years ago, she broke the necklace. It was an accident, but I was there when it happened. She was careless with it, and her parents were watching. I lost my crap, and I yelled and cursed and told my dad I would never forgive any of them, and I would never, ever let it go. It took a month of me feeling that way for him to regret it and to realize that my half-sister cared more that I was mad at her than she had about the necklace. Because part of him believed that the necklace meant something to her too, I refused to accept his apology. His wife called me bitter and said I was shameful for loving a necklace more than my own sister. I told her I never loved my half-sister, and she and her husband could thank themselves for making things even worse. I turned 18 in November, and I moved in with my granddad. We had talked about it for ages before, but he picked me up and I left. My dad was trying to stop me from going, and both my half-siblings, I have a half-brother as well, were upset that I was leaving and wanted me to stay. But I left, and I intend never to return. My dad has not let up, and when I blocked him after he refused to stop calling, he showed up outside my school last week and told me we needed to talk, and he wanted me to move back in. Graduation was last year, and he needed info. I told him he's not coming, so he doesn't need to know anything. He told me of course he was coming. They all are. I looked him in the eye and told him if they showed up, I wouldn't attend the ceremony, and I would never give them the satisfaction of watching me graduate. He told me I took it all too far and should find a way to forgive. Am I the idiot? You owe them nothing, and your dad and his wife were horrible to you for forcing you to give up your mom's necklace. I wouldn't blame your sister as she's just a kid, but her parents should have had much better judgment. You do not have to be in contact with anyone if you don't want to. Honey, you are not the idiot. Yeah, now the consequence of choosing his new family over his eldest daughter is biting him in the butt, and it's too late to undo what he's done. He says you should find a way to forgive, yet he hasn't done a single thing to try to earn forgiveness. Even now, he's still choosing himself over you. Where's your necklace now? Your dad would be blocked forever if it was me. I'm sorry you lost two parents. He spits on your mom's grave and traumatizes an already grieving child by taking the one physical thing she had left as an irreplaceable gift from her mother. That's inexcusable. He's a weak excuse of a man and never puts his first responsibility to the child he already has above his own wants. Tell him when you get your repaired necklace back and an apology to give you a call. Then take it and let go of him and your resentment and pain like a helium balloon. My brother, 39, is very angry with me, female 40. He's been with his fiancée, female 25, for 2 years. And since then, every family gathering with them included has been 100% vegan. And the reason is that his fiancée can't be around meat. Honestly, I never found it an issue. I love vegan foods, and I don't believe one vegan meal would kill you. We had one vegan Christmas with my parents. The other Christmas, they celebrated with her family. Anyway, not all were indifferent about that as I was, and I heard gossip and complaints. I just usually grab some popcorn. Unfortunately, this time, the drama is about me. I'm turning 40 in 2 weeks and have made restaurant reservations. I sent the invitations. My brother immediately answered that I had forgotten the rule. Upon further inquiry, he explained that the restaurant wasn't vegan. I said that I knew that, but that it had vegan options that looked delicious. One of my closest friends is vegan too, and I put her and her sister-in-law in mind when choosing. But most importantly, I put myself in mind, and I really like this restaurant. He called me angry and yelling, telling me they always knew I didn't like her. What are you talking about? Of course I like your fiancé. Now, family's in the middle, siding with me versus little bro. His fiancé is very upset with him and me, saying that I never liked her. She even told him that he couldn't be with him if his family hated her like that. So he was very angry and told me I was ruining his relationship. Am I? Whoa. So, according to your brother, it isn't enough to be considerate and inclusive, taking into account your sister-in-law's preferences. You must actually revolve all your choices to cater to her, even your own birthday? And if you don't, you never liked her? And that she can't be with him now because of it? And now your brother's accusing you of ruining his relationship? Holy mother of insecurity and misplaced blame. You're not the idiot. Your brother and sister-in-law are. Seriously, it should be made abundantly clear to both the brother and the sister-in-law that this exact sort of toxic, narcissistic behavior is what causes vegans to have a bad rap in this society. And then it should be made equally clear that after this stunt, they genuinely will not be invited anywhere else ever again. Throwing this kind of fit because the restaurant isn't 100% as vegan as their bizarre fundamentalist take on the lifestyle demands when it's someone else's birthday is beyond pathetic. I mean, he's 39 and she's 25. She's probably an immature 25, and he's definitely an immature 39. They don't understand yet that the world doesn't revolve around them. Imagine thinking your future sibling-in-law must base all decisions around you. Holy crap! Maybe they'll finally have reached maturity by the time he's 60 and she's 46. There's no drama like family drama. Tell your brother and his sugar baby to go pound sand.